Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We're going to talk about North Korea, and unfortunately, yes, it's real serious, and I've got several Thus Saith the Lords talking about, I hate to say it, potentially some bad things with North Korea, as in war, attack, and things like that. Now, first of all, let me start with a little clip. This is from our news. This is from Rex Tillerson, our new Secretary of State.
North Korea and its people need not fear the United States or their neighbors in the region who seek only to live in peace with North Korea. With this in mind, the United States calls on North Korea to abandon its nuclear and ballistic missile programs and refrain from any further provocations.
Okay, so the big question of the day is, are we heading to war with North Korea? What do the prophets say? Now, you remember Amos 3:7 says, surely the Lord God would do nothing, but he revealeth his secret to his servants, the prophets. So, everything that is coming, he has told somebody. Now, the question is whether you've been listening to Prophecy Club, which is probably your highest likelihood to hear it, because we're a program that believes that there's still prophets, that God still talks to people, and he still warns his two nations, that's Israel and America, about those things that are coming. But the problem is, did that information get to you? That's the question. All right, so let's first start with a Trump tweet. You remember this, March 17th. President Trump tweeted out, North Korea is behaving very badly. They have been, quote, playing the United States for years. China has done little to help. Now I'm reading an article from spokesman.com, but understand after we get through this article, then we're going to talk about what the prophets have been told. And yes, it's very concerning. So spokesman.com says, soon after Tillerson's remarks in a sign of mounting tensions, the North Korean embassy held an extraordinary news conference in Beijing to blame the potential for nuclear war on the United States while vowing that its homegrown nuclear testing program will continue in self-defense. North Korea has amassed a huge nuclear stockpile and appears to be at the brink of being able to strike the U.S. mainland and American allies in Asia. The rising threat from the isolated military dictatorship has prompted the Trump administration to begin assessing its options for how to respond and serves as an early test for how the president will confront an increasingly volatile international situation. One potential immediate response would be to strengthen existing South Korean missile capabilities or to provide Japan with new offensive missile ability. Japan's defense chief told Parliament this month that he would not rule out first strike capability, which would be a major departure from Japan's post-war pacifist traditions. The United States could also field the same THAAD missile defense system in Japan that it is now installing in South Korea, or take the potentially provocative step of reinstalling American nuclear weapons at U.S. bases in South Korea. The North Korean threat could also rekindle the largely dormant idea of a domestic U.S. missile defense system. Now, when Trump calls me, I'm going to recommend that he do install a U.S. missile defense system here for the lower 48, matter of fact, for all 50 states. But let's go on. North Korea has boasted of an intercontinental ballistic missile, and experts on Asia security generally agree that such a capability is within Pyongyang's reach. Preventing it outright would probably require a military strike on North Korean facilities, something the United States has considered an option of last resort because it would potentially result in an attack on South Korea and U.S. forces stationed there, perhaps with chemical or biological weapons. I think it's important to recognize that the political and diplomatic efforts of the past 20 years to bring North Korea to the point of denuclearization have failed, Tillerson said. The Secretary of State's reference to decades of failure alluded to the carrot and stick diplomacy that began with a 1994 deal between the United States and North Korea. Under it, Pyongyang would receive aid and 2 proliferation-resistant nuclear power plants in return for freezing and eventually dismantling its nuclear weapons program. That deal collapsed in 2002, and North Korea achieved its first atomic test in 2006. The George Bush administration efforts at a New Deal collapsed, And Pyongyang has managed to build up its stockpile of nuclear weapons material, as well as refine its missiles despite what on paper look like crushing international sanctions. North Korea's nuclear missile efforts have intensified under dictator Kim Jong-un, who took power in 2011 and appear to have escalated further since Donald Trump's election. The country's last month tested a missile that uses solid fuel, a big leap in its technological development. Then this month fired a salvo of 4 missiles, part of what is said to be a drill to practice hitting American military bases in Japan. 3 of the 4 missiles landed in waters within Japan's exclusive economic zone. Tillerson's remarks reflected growing agitation with Washington that a tougher stance on North Korea is required. Senator Bob Corker, a Republican from Tennessee, said during a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing last month that the United States has 3 choices. What he called, quote, provocative regime change to topple Kim, sanctions and other coercive measures, or military cooperation with Japan and South Korea. That could include a preemptive strike on missile facilities. Otherwise, we're staring down the barrel of an ICBM, Corker said. Tillerson made a version of Trump's argument that the United States will demand clear benefits for its diplomacy and foreign aid and will walk away when necessary. Tillerson scoffed at the U.S. expense for trying to entice North Korea to drop its nuclear program. $1.35 billion by his count. That encouragement has been met with further development of nuclear capabilities, more missile launches, including this month and last. Tillerson said, in the face of this ever-escalating threat, it is clear that a different approach is required. On Friday, Tillerson will be in South Korea, where more than 20 million people live within range of North Korean artillery. South Korea is conducting joint military exercises with U.S. forces, and installation of the THAAD system begins this month. The joint military exercises by hostile forces are amid to preemptive strikes against the DPRK, North Korean Embassy official Pyongyang, if I said that right, referring to the official name of his country, the DRPCR, whatever it is. Therefore, the peace and stability of the Korean Peninsula is under serious threat, he said. Now the situation is already on the brink of nuclear war. Okay, folks, this is getting real serious now. And that's the reason you don't catch me reading this much of a newspaper article, but this article is good, and this topic is that serious, so I'll continue. While strident North Korean warnings about the annual military exercises are common, here it is, calling a news conference in a third country to drive the message home was a dramatic new step. China is North Korea's protector and only ally, and Beijing is the only capital where the North could so quickly summon Western reporters. Tillerson's last stop on a 6-day trip will be in China, which remains skeptical of any U.S. military response. Last week, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi warned that the United States and Korea were like 2 accelerating trains on a collision course, while Premier Li Qiang cautioned Wednesday that, quote, tension may lead to conflict, unquote. Okay, did you hear that? This is 2 other countries that are saying the U.S. and North Korea are heading to war. Now, they didn't say it exactly that way, but they indirectly did. Let's go on. China has imposed a ban on coal imports from North Korea. Okay, now, that is primarily the way North Korea gets its money. A move that, if fully implemented, would deprive the regime of crucial revenue stream. But many analysts doubt Beijing will hold the ban given the instability it could create on China's borders. Tillerson's remarks seemed to shut the door on any rekindling of international talks that had involved Japan, South Korea, and China to persuade the dynastic regime to stop firing missiles and pursuing nuclear weapons. The failed diplomatic outreach had coincided with U.S. efforts to reassure North Korea that it did not plan an unprovoked attack, something North Korea has long claimed is a Washington plot. Now, that's what the news says. But you see, we can go back to sleep if we don't have any prophets that can confirm that. So, do we have anybody that has seen any kind of problems with Korea? Unfortunately, yes, we do. Here's one of them. My wife, Prophet Leslie Johnson, November 12, 2015. I saw a plane preparing for departure. The plane was almost full. I saw people finding their seats. There was confusion. One couple wanted to sit together, and every time the flight attendant would move them, the new seat was worse than the seat before. The plane was actually a cargo plane that had been converted into a passenger plane to carry people. So the seats were mismatched, some facing forward, some sideways, some even backwards. It was not put together well at all. I saw the logo on the side of the plane, and it was the North Korean logo. But I had no idea what the flag was at that time until I looked it up after the dream. The plane was a bogus passenger plane. The idea was to carry a nuclear bomb on the plane and use it to attack America. Some of the passengers were speaking English as if they were headed home. The flight attendants did not speak English, however. She said, "This is what I saw on the side of the plane," and it was a North Korean flag. Now, that's one person. But if we only have one, then we can go back to sleep. The problem is, not only do I have one or two, I have several. Pastor Massey called me. I'm going to say, I'm sorry. I should have written down the date. I do not know what's wrong with me. I always write down the date, but I don't have the date on this one. But it's about 4 to 6 weeks ago. Hey, I had a dream that Seattle will be nuked by North Korea, and that God will punish North Korea for their crimes against the Christians, and then America will retaliate and drop a nuke on North Korea, and North Korea will be wiped out. Now, that's Pastor Massey. Remember, we had him in to make a DVD. Now, let's go to Dimitri Duduman. April 22, 1996. This is rather lengthy, and I'll also say that this is one of his visions, I guess it is, that a lot of people get misunderstood on. And I'm going to see to it that you don't get misunderstood on it so you can get the real truth of this. Okay, so here it is. I prayed, went to bed. I was still awake when suddenly I heard a trumpet, Dimitri says. A voice cried out to me and said, "Stand." In my vision, I was in America. I walked out of my home and began to look for one that had spoken to me. As I looked, I saw 3 men dressed alike. 2 of the men carried weapons. One of the armed men came to me and said, "I woke you up to show you what is to come. Come with me." I didn't know where I was being taken, but we reached a certain place, and he said, "We'll be right back after this message." We have put the collection of the best of the 2016 DVDs together in an awesome gift offer. First, Miracles in Pakistan. Pastor Massey tells the story of 23,000 Muslims that he led to Jesus in Pakistan. Then in his DVD, Visits to Heaven and Hell, tells about going to heaven once and twice to hell, and it will scare. And then the third one is The Babylonians Are Coming, his 9 dreams that God gave him about judgment on America. Then Bree Keaton talks about explosive prayer strategies, emergency prayers that work. Finally includes Lindsey Williams' new DVD, Trump Speaks to the Elite, and how Trump changed things and the new plans of the elite. 5 DVDs valued at $168, all available now for a gift of just $75. Helps us stay on radio, okay? That's valued at $168, all for a gift of just $75. ProphecyClub.com, 785-266-1112. ProphecyClub.com or 785-266-1112. The best of 2016. Order now. And now, back to the program. I didn't know where I was being taken, but we reached a certain place, and he said, "Stop here." A pair of binoculars was handed to me, and I was told to look through them. "Stand there, don't move, and look." He continued, "You will see what they're saying, what they're preparing for America." As I was looking, I saw a great light. A dark cloud appeared over it. I saw the president of Russia, a short, chubby man, who said he was the president of China, and 2 others. Now, you got to get that straight. There's 4 people. President of Russia, and then a short, chubby man, president of China, which is not who is the president of China now, okay, and 2 other guys. 2 other also said they were where they were from, but I didn't understand, he says. However, I gathered that they were part of a Russian-controlled territory. The men stepped out of the cloud. The Russian president began to speak to the Chinese one, quote, "I will give you the land with all the people, but you must free Taiwan of the Americans. Do not fear. We will attack them from behind." A voice said to me, "Watch where the Russians penetrate America." I saw these words being written: Alaska, Minnesota, Florida. Then the man spoke. When Russia goes to war with China, the Russians will strike without warning. Now, that's the part that confuses people. This is one of the men in the flesh that is planning the attack. I don't think that this is the angel talking. This is what they plan. But in just a second, the angel's going to correct and say, this is what they plan, but this is not how it happens, okay? You got to get that or you get messed up on this one. Now let's go on. The two other presidents spoke. We too will fight for you. Each had a place already planned as a point of attack. All of them shook hands and hugged. Then they all signed a contract. One of them said, and here's the point, I bring this to you. One of them said, we're sure that Korea and Cuba will be on our side too. Without a doubt, together we can destroy America. The president of Russia began to speak insistently. Why let ourselves be led by the Americans? Why not rule the world ourselves? They have to be kicked out of Europe too. Then I could do as I please with Europe. The man standing beside me asked, this is what you saw. They act as friends, and they say they respect the treaties made by each other. Now, here's the angel talking again. Here's the thing that straightens it all out. But everything I have shown you is how it will really happen. Now, let me pause for a second. You remember that they said when China and Russia go to war, China's going to be on our side. China's not going to be attacking America. Now, let's go on. You must tell them what is being planned against America. Then when it comes to pass, the people will remember the words the Lord has spoken. Who are you? I asked. He says, I'm the protector of America. America's sin has reached God. He will allow this destruction, for he can no longer stand such wickedness. God, however, still has people that worship him with a clean heart as they do his work. He has prepared a heavenly army to save these people. As I looked, a great army, well-dressed, dressed in white, appeared before me. Do you see that? The man asked. This is the army that will go to battle to save my chosen ones. Then the difference between the godly and the ungodly will be evident. Now let's go on to what Maurice Sklar said. Dated 3/7/2013. The Lord spoke to me today to alert the prayer warriors and intercessors. Pray to stop an imminent attack threat. There is a plot to detonate several small nuclear bombs above the atmosphere of America and Canada. Their goal is to produce an EMP effect that would cripple our electric system grid. I believe the source is North Korea, but joined with several other Muslim countries, the Lord told me that if we pray, this one we can disrupt and prevent this disaster. I know this may sound crazy to some, but I must be faithful to let the body of Messiah know. Pray, 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 which is why I'm asking you, if you have not already joined Fast Track, go to prophecyclub.com, join the Fast Track prayer team, where every Wednesday we do the same prayer, the same fast, the same day, and now I have to look, there's getting close to about 800 people on the list. So the Bible says, one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. So if you want your prayers to be more effective, pray the same prayer, same fast, same day with us. And this next week, we are going to be praying, as we have once before, specifically that Korea not attack America. Now, let's tie this in with something even more important. Do you think hearing these kind of things is something you personally want to have? More important, do the people of Washington and the state of Michigan, do you think people in your states need to continue to hear this sort of warning over the radio? Now, I had a dream, I don't know, probably over 10 years ago, and it was a real encouragement, and it was every day about like noon. I don't know when our radio program came on, but it was a group of Chinese people, and they had a little family restaurant. Well, here, I'll tell you what, I'll just pause the program for just a second. I'll look it up. Let me read it to you. Okay. It's called Chinese Prophecy Students. I had this dream Friday the 13th in 2008. It was as if I had been taken in the spirit into a kitchen employee eating area of a Chinese restaurant. This was a small family-owned restaurant, and all of the family was just sitting down for a meal together. There was about 8 of them, and 3 of the older ones appeared to be the fathers of the families, which began in unison to recite what had just been played on the Prophecy Club radio program. They were telling each other, the members of the family, in great detail, everything that they had heard on the radio program that day. It was amazing. They could almost quote the whole program word for word. They were speaking in Chinese, but somehow I could hear them in English as they quoted word for word what was said by me on the radio program that day. The rest of their family listened with great excitement as they heard more about prophecies of the last days from God's Word. They were so excited, it was as if it was the highlight of their day. And everybody sat around the radio to listen to Prophecy Club. And God said to me in this dream, he says, you have no idea how many people are listening to you. Though you may not know, though they won't send donations, and if you were to ask them, they would never admit they listen to Prophecy Club. He said, but you have no idea how many people are listening. Now, if you're a Christian, and if you believe in the Bible and the Bible prophecies and the last days, and if you think America's in trouble, if you believe Dimitri Duduman, then here's your question of the day. Do you think Prophecy Club should continue on the radio? Now, it's going to continue, okay? But whether it's going to continue in Michigan or in Washington State, that is our question. I have already filed cancellation notice with the stations in those two states. And the last day we're going to be aired was March 31st. We need to hear from you. We're a couple of months behind in those states, and everything has kind of been moving more towards, having a watch or listen to the radio program by cell phone or by computer rather than over the air listening like you may be listening to now. So if you want the people of Michigan and Washington to hear, then I need your help. Well, how much do you need, Stan? I'm going to say probably in the ballpark of $10,000. We're a couple of months behind in those states, and we need to catch up. There are good people at those radio stations, good stations. If you're listening to this over the air, good stations, but we need to catch up. And I haven't figured up exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's in the ballpark of at least $10,000, if not more. Now, you got to ask yourself, do I want to hear this kind of information? More important, do I want this kind of information going out to where people that would never, ever admit that they listen to Prophecy Club, and matter of fact, they might not even be Christians. They might be laughing and just thinking this is a big hoot. But one of these days, it's going to be proven that we knew exactly what we're talking about, and I believe it's going to win a lot of people to the Lord. Now, let me remind you, some of our guests. Ask yourself, do you want people to hear from Pastor Massey, Prophet Patricia Green, Bree Keaton, Michael Snyder, Augusto Perez, Jonathan Wright, Michael Rood, Shane Warren, Maurice Sklar? Do you want them to hear those kind of people talking? Do you want to hear topics discussed like war in Israel coming? Where is America headed? In the eyes of God, what is wrong with immigration? These are some of the titles of some of the radio programs I've done here recently. The split of Israel versus the split of America. Earthquakes, what is God saying? Omar prophecy in France. Has the internal revolution of Dimitri Duduman started? Prophecies that did not evaporate with Trump. Trump is our, quote, space to repent. Suitcase nukes. Meteor hitting Puerto Rico, splitting America. America's occult holidays. UFOs and Bible prophecy. The Antichrist and clones. Russia's secret scalar weapon capable of defeating America. The Muslim plan to dominate the world by 2020. Nasara and the new Republic of the United States. How to pray in times of trouble. Dollar devaluation and lots and lots and lots more. So if you want to help, here's how you do it. You can go to prophecyclub.com, donate there. You can call us, 785-266-1112, 785-266-1112. Put it on a credit card, or you can mail a check. P.O. Box 750234, P.O. Box 750234, Topeka, Kansas, 66675. So, in summary today, Trump sent out a tweet that says North Korea is behaving very badly. They've been playing the United States for years, and China has done little to help. Then we see all of this problem coming up with Tillerson going over to visit our friends in the Asian area, trying to do something about North Korea. But I think the scariest part of any of it is the dream that Leslie had about North Korea filling a cargo plane, putting a bunch of people in it, seats, making it look like it's a passenger plane, putting a nuclear bomb on board, and then sending that over. Now, if you couple that with what Pastor Massey was told, where Seattle will be hit with a nuclear bomb, so we have a passenger plane that used to be a cargo plane fly over Seattle and set off a nuke, what do you think would happen? I'll tell you what I think. I think that within 24 hours, Trump would have already hit North Korea with a nuclear bomb, and probably not just one, probably 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And again, here's what he said. Seattle will be nuked by North Korea. God will punish North Korea for the crimes against the Christians. America will retaliate and drop a nuke on North Korea, and North Korea will be wiped out. Then that's confirmed also by Doug Metzger, which I think I forgot to read this. Here, let me read this one. I saw an intercontinental ballistic missile with a red star on it. The flag of North Korea's flag. I had this vision years before they said they had a missile that could hit the U.S. As this missile was in flight, it turned from a missile to a sword and back to a missile and back to a sword. And I saw the words, quote, sword of judgment written on the side of the missile. I heard the voice of the Lord say, sword of judgment towards America. And that's Doug Metzger. When you have Dimitri Duduman, the angel spoke to him and said that we're sure that Korea and Cuba will be on our side also. In the spirit, we still have what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people. 5 different people saying that something is going to go on with North Korea. So this is the time, brothers and sisters, for you to join the Fast Track team. We are going to pray that this thing with North Korea does not happen. ProphecyClub.com. Sign up to become part of the Fast Track praying and fasting team. I never ask for donations from my Fast Track team. You can quit anytime you want to. This is only for fasting and praying. You do the same fast, same prayer, same day, along with some 800 other people. That is a real powerful thing. So if you want to continue to hear it in the states of Michigan and Washington, we need to hear from you. Again, our last day to air, unless we hear from you, is March 31st. Call 785-266-1112. Make your best donation, mail a check, or go to prophecyclub.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. Prophecy Club is having 2 meetings. Saturday night, Stan Johnson of the Prophecy Club will be telling his experiences with Dimitri Duduman and giving Dimitri's testimony about the fall of America and many visits from angels. Sunday morning, Bree Keaton will be speaking. Bree is the one God sent to the jungle to rescue pygmies. She walks and prays over cities. She is a woman of amazing faith. Her title, America's War in the Heavens. Topics are the state of our Christian nation, the distraction of politics. America is becoming Sodom and Gomorrah. America's churches are the Laodicean church. Obama Odinga equals Kenya and America. Jezebel Elijah equals ancient Israel versus America. Trump America equals Lewis and the Scotland Awakening. I will speak Saturday evening, March 25th at 7 p.m. Bree speaks Sunday morning, March 26th at 9 a.m. Please be in your seat 30 minutes early, no charge, at the Prophecy Club, 2540 K Avenue, Plano, behind the Whataburger. Order DVDs at prophecyclub.com. As you know, Redwood Gold is now sponsoring the Prophecy Club. That means that they help us to continue to be able to come to you. So, of course, we want to help them. In an effort to get you to introduce yourself to them, they're offering a 1-gram silver bar free and postage paid just for giving them a call. They just want to get to know you. Now, it's a limited time offer. It works like this. You call Redwood Gold, tell them you listen to the Prophecy Club, chat with them a moment. They send you a 1-gram silver bar free and postage paid. Redwood Gold, 844-800-6677. Pretty good deal, huh? Just for an introduction. Redwood Gold, 844-800-6677. No obligation. Tell them you listen to the Prophecy Club. Redwood Gold, 844-800-6677. You got nothing to lose. Call today.